Hey everyone, my name is Brennan. I'm one of the co-founders at Wholesale, and today I'm joined by Kyle Lin, who does business development at Mercari. We've been working with Kyle, and if you've seen our previous webinars with him, you know that we've been working with him and his team really closely on this integration that Wholesale has built with Mercari, first in its class of allowing you to move your inventory on Mercari's marketplace in the US, which is really exciting. And our first webinar, I just want to point out, was back in November of last year. But in just a few months of short time, we've done a tremendous amount, and that's thanks to the team at Mercari helping us work through the workflows that are cumbersome to sellers, and trying to really trying to make it as fast for you guys as possible. So we're excited, and it's rare to see this much involvement from an integration partner for us at Wholesale, and it means that you're getting a ton of exciting features really fast. So I'm going to go through some demos of these new features that we're talking about, and then Kyle's going to talk about Mercari's Authorized Reseller program. So we'll dive right in. I don't think there are going to be too many people on this webinar today that don't know what Wholesale is, so I'm going to kind of give a high-level overview of this, but this is what Wholesale is doing today. We've got Mercari here in this list of sales channels, so we've updated this graphic, and for anyone that is in the industry, all of these logos will look very similar to you, or very familiar, excuse me. So what Wholesale is doing is bringing your inventory information from all the sources you have that information in, from your mobile diagnostic software, from spreadsheets you get from your vendors or that you work on internally, and from trade-in software like Reusely. You are bringing that information through Wholesale as your central kind of point of tracking your inventory, tracking what you do to it. And then once that inventory is ready to be launched on e-commerce, Wholesale is sending it to all of these channels that we work with and keeping it updated so that if you sell something on Mercari, Wholesale is able to bring it down on the other channels that you're selling on. And so that is what Wholesale's primary mission is. And today, obviously, we're talking about that e-commerce side, the listing side of this integration. And if you've been a Wholesale customer for years now, you know that our first take on these e-commerce integrations was just about making sure that you never oversell. So constantly syncing your quantities and bringing in orders. And now we're talking about some more exciting stuff that we've added to this integration, specifically with Mercari. So if you saw our webinar back in November, you know that we launched one of these standard integrations that does the quantity sync, or excuse me, not the quantity sync, but it allowed you to create Mercari listings, and new orders from Mercari from those listings would come into Wholesale. But today we're launching this trio of other features, and it's kind of a trio. We talked a little bit about listing templates previously, but it's this trio of features that makes it saves a tremendous amount of time for you when you're selling on Mercari. And Mercari is the only integration that we support these features with right now. So it's cutting edge and super exciting. So what I want to do is just walk you guys through. So there are these three features. What they are: listing templates, which if you've been following along, we've talked about them before, but I'm going to cover them again. The ability to list SKU listings, which is huge for Mercari because Mercari's platform is a single item listing platform. So we worked with their team and came up with an idea that we've been testing out, and we're now releasing, that allows you to list the stuff that you have in bulk on Mercari. And I'll talk about the way that works, but it's really exciting. And then the third piece of this is listing opportunities. And we hear from sellers about this all the time. It's the need to be able to see what kind of stuff do you have in your inventory that you want to list on Mercari, but is not listed already. So it's being able to identify those things. And I see some notes in our chat. Woo, from Daniel. Yes, this is super exciting. Customers have been asking us about this for a long time. We're super thrilled to show it to you. So these three features are the ones that I want to go through, and I'm going to kind of pop over to a tab with our Mercari integration to just give you a brief demo of each of them. So listing templates, you guys have probably seen listing templates before, but I'll show them to you now. A template is, the idea is that you are mapping your details about your inventory in wholesale. So you have these different product details that you can map over to a Mercari title, a Mercari description, a listing, the hashtags on a listing. You can map the conditions that you have, the grades that you use in your wholesale account for inventory, map them to conditions on Mercari. You can set the category, set the ship from address, and that is a listing template. So the idea for these templates is to map your existing details that you keep in your, because maybe sometimes these are different for each marketplace you list on. These might be a little bit different of how you consider your inventory in your wholesale account, what grades you use, and then porting that information over to the requirements of a Mercari listing. And so that's what this listing template does, is it allows you, and we released this along with our standard, listing procedure, just to speed things up so that you don't have to enter this information manually every time you're creating a new listing. But turns out that this is also the first piece of a puzzle in a much bigger vision and picture. So so that's what I'll be talking about. We have a comment from Daniel that says, my biggest question is Mercari thinking of displaying stock photos, or will it be custom by the seller? And Kyle, do you mind answering that one?
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, so Mercari, we don't display photos on behalf of the seller on their seller profile. However, with this integration with wholesale, we do allow the use of stock photos. So if you do have stock photos, you can, I'm pretty sure Brennan will show it later in this demo, but you can insert your own photos that you can then recreate in the listings. So you don't have to take customized, individualized photos per item. We have one, if you have one that's a stock for that SKU, then that's more than sufficient for us.
So yeah, thanks, Kyle, and thanks for being willing to do that. That's a huge time savings for sellers. So yeah, I mean, if it's not already obvious, if I'm not beating a dead horse here, everyone, the whole point is Mercari has made a lot of there are a bunch of little things all together like this, like the stock photos, allowing stock photos, and then all these tools. You put them all together, and they make a much faster listing workflow. So this is templates. I could, give you a deep dive on how these the tags from the templates work, but I've done that in other webinars and we have that in other videos. So just, keep in mind, the whole point of the template is to allow you to list faster, to map the details about your inventory or your products over to what's required on a Mercari listing. So that's the listing templates. The next piece of this is the SKU, the SKU listings, right? So if you've been using our Mercari listing integration, what you've seen is when you go to an inventory item, let's pull up an inventory item in wholesale. So the previous setup, I know I have an iPhone 13 in here. That's like a great example. So here we go. It's an iPhone 13 with some pictures and a ton of data. We have this opportunity to create a listing on Mercari. So we can click that, and this will use our template and create a single item listing on Mercari. So you've already been doing this if you've been using our integration, is creating these single item listings. And those are now displayed in this inventory listings tab on the wholesale settings page for Mercari. What we have now is a SKU listings page. And again, what I was pointing out earlier is this is pretty exciting because on Mercari, their platform is a single item listing platform. But what this allows you to do is now, instead of going from an inventory page, I just looked at that inventory page for this iPhone 13. Let's go back. This product variation doesn't have a SKU set, but let's go to my product catalog where I have all my SKUs. Let's go to test SKU 1, 2, 3, 4. I have some inventory for that. Maybe I don't have any listings yet. There's now an option to create a listing on a SKU page. And this means that you're creating a listing for the product variation, the SKU, of that. Instead of creating it for a specific inventory item, a specific IMEI, you are creating it for this SKU. And the way that this works is pretty slick. So I'm going to go to one of our existing listings and show you how this displays. So this is, if you're familiar with wholesale's other integrations that allow you to list based on SKU, those channels are usually supporting a quantity listing format where wholesale is doing this calculation. How much of this item do you have in inventory? How many orders are outstanding for it? Subtracting that, and then arriving at a stock level, and then constantly syncing this stock level whenever it changes. That's how that works. But since Mercari's platform doesn't have a concept of the stock level, the way that we're doing this with them is automatically creating a new listing because we've got the listing template, we've got all the details. We are creating a new listing on Mercari whenever your the previous listing has sold. So this listing got deactivated, and then this listing got created from Wholesale because that previous one was deactivated. So the whole idea here is that as you go through your stock level, say you're at 75 and an order comes in on Mercari, that original listing that was posted is going to be sold. So that listing's going to be sold, but Wholesale automatically on your behalf will create a new listing. So there's always one listing existing for this SKU on your Mercari profile. And I'm pretty excited about this. It also interfaces. I know a question we're going to get immediately is, does this work with the other integrations that I have? Does it work with my, my eBay integration, my back market integration, my Amazon? And the answer is yes. So if you take all of it, or wholesale, right? Say you're a wholesale, a B2B seller. Say you sell all of this quantity of 75 on a B2B deal. That listing, the single listing in this instance, is going to be pulled down from Mercari so that you don't oversell that product. And the same thing, as this quantity comes down, if you sell the last of it on another channel, I kind of gave a B2B example, but it works the same for other channels. Once this listing goes to zero, you will be able to see the history here and see that your last listing on Mercari is automatically deactivated. So we're, to say the least, we're incredibly excited about this, about what it means for our sellers that are used to selling individual listings and their ability now to move their quantity listings over to Mercari. I see a ton of in our chat box. We've got a ton of awesome, amazing, great. I'm really happy that you guys are seeing how we feel about this. That it's going to be really powerful. Daniel said, once the listing sells and moves into a sales order, will there be an integration where Wholesale is able to deduct the marketplace fees as well as shipping fees, so our revenue will be accurate? Daniel, I think that's a larger and longer term question. That is something we definitely want to do, is display more of the e-commerce fees in our sales orders, but that's not the feature that I'm talking about today. I think you will see that from us in the long run, but it's not coming with this launch of this Mercari integration. So that's specifically what I'm talking about today. So, and we're only, for what it's worth, guys, we're only on step 2 out of 3 of these new features. So this SKU listing feature obviously is incredibly powerful. It brings the ability for you to list the product variations that you have and that you may have many inventory items for in Wholesale on Mercari. And then what I think it does beautifully is manage that quantity and that listing process for you. So we got the templates. Now we've got the SKU-based listings. And lastly, I want to show you the thing that I'm really psyched about, which is listing opportunities. So this listing opportunities tab, but we've kind of gone through templates, now SKU listings, and then, now listing opportunities. So when you go through and set up your Mercari integration in Wholesale, you are scoping that integration and telling it, I want inventory from these statuses and these warehouses to be available and considered in the count that is synced with Mercari, right? So that's the inventory that I'm considering to be e-commerce ready to sell. And so you have this ability to identify those products. Now you have a listing opportunities page and table, and that table shows you items that are not currently, it shows you SKUs that are not currently listed on Mercari, but based on your settings of that scope, could be or should be. And this is huge. This is what people have been asking from us for years, is the ability to quickly see, I think right now, literally our customers are going through trying to get an export of what SKUs they have listed on a marketplace on Mercari, which single item listings they have on Mercari already, and then going into their inventory to figure out, okay, what do I not have listed? And that's a huge time suck, and we know it. And so what we've done here is created a fast track for you to be able to see all the inventory that matches those kind of filters, that scope, and to be able to create listings for these SKUs right from this table. And right now, as you can kind of see, the table is already sorted by inventory items, but you're able to sort it by grade or by SKU. And clicking on Create Listing is going to take you to a SKU listing page to create a listing for this SKU. And it brings in, I think, I almost missed this, but I'm glad I didn't. It brings in the photos from that SKU. So if you've been a Wholesale user, you've known this for a while probably, but you haven't really had a reason to use the SKU-based photos. Let me click on this SKU and show you. So in the SKU, we have all this inventory, and we're able to upload photos of SKUs or product variations, just like we are of inventory. So this cuts back to your original question, Daniel, about being able to display stock images on Mercari. Mercari is allowing you to display stock images that come from wholesale for this specific SKU listing integration, and as an authorized reseller, you're allowed to do that. And now you can use these images that you've uploaded in wholesale. And we've got plenty of documentation around this, but I love this feature. You can generate a QR code, scan the QR code, and that brings you up to an upload page. You can take a picture with a phone, and then that picture gets uploaded, presumably of the inventory item, the SKU in question, and gets uploaded here. And then when you go to create these listings on Mercari, that photo is available, or those photos are available for posting to the listing. So this is the trio, the great trio of these features means that you will be able to come into your settings page in wholesale. I have too many tabs open, probably a very common seller issue. And you'll be able to see which SKU listings you have up, see what listing opportunities you have. And once you've created a template, creating listings for these items that are big opportunities for you to list is going to be a few second process. It's going to be very fast. So, we've been working with Kyle specifically on how do we help Mercari sellers and the members of this authorized reseller program get their stuff listed as fast as possible. This is how. This is how we help you do that. And so that's our solution to it, is this three-pronged piece of features that allows you to probably go through this table in a matter of minutes and get everything listed on Mercari. So again, we're so excited about what this means for all of you that are authorized resellers with Mercari. And for those that aren't, Kyle will tell you where to go and get set up for that. I'm going to go through a handful of these images here, or sorry, these questions that we have from customers. I'm reading and talking at the same time. So Naftali says they should have that for all marketplaces, as the data is already there. Well, if you mean us, Naftali, I think you will see that over time. But for now, we've done it with Mercari because their team has been so responsive to us and worked with us in collaboration. That's why we're launching this with them first, because it's been possible to get what we need from them to do this. I think for anyone that's wondering about this, one of the challenges from our side in wholesale is every sales channel has a different API. Some of the APIs provide some of the information, some of them don't. Even if you can see it on their website, it might not actually be available in their API, which is what we have to use. In this instance, the Mercari team has worked with us to work on their API and build it such that we can build these features and build them quickly, which is just amazing. I mean, we've been really lucky, and it's been a great collaboration together. So I just want to, have an absolute shout out to their team for being so wonderful there. Daniel said, what is the best stock image size to use with wholesale to Mercari? There are a couple of limitations on, or I should say rules and guidelines on those images, Daniel. It's good that you asked that. They have to be in JPEG format, and we want your feedback about this. So I'd say try uploading the best resolution image that you've got from your phone or from your computer. And if you have any issues with it or resizing issues or anything along those lines, we want to hear from you. Our goal over time is to have this listing process be as native and as good as your existing listing process if you were on the channel. So we want your feedback there. Hamid says, please make the same thing for all marketplaces. We hear you, Hamid. Try this one with Mercari and let us know how it works for you, please. That's the one that exists now, and we're really thrilled about it. Daniel said, sadly, Swappa doesn't do stock, so we might have to use custom photos so it works more seamlessly. I'd say, Daniel, same thing. Mercari is allowing you to use stock photos here, so use that. Our goal is, of course, and I think this benefits Mercari as well, is our goal is to bring these features to other integrations so that you're able to use them consistently. And I think for all the marketplaces, it is Kyle and Mercari's job to make sure that those listings you have on Mercari get the most visibility and sell more than they would and for higher prices than they would on other channels. That's their job, and they're working with you to do that. So we're going to try and make it as easy as possible for you to get these listings up, and then you can work with your account managers on the channels. And this is about Mercari. This is going to exist for Mercari in this moment in time, only for Mercari. So start using it now, and I'm sure you will see it from us on other channels in the future. But try this as you get started into it. Nick said, nice job, guys. This is amazing. Great, Nick. I'm really glad you like it. Thanks. Sean said, can we set the sales price when using the create listing? Yes, absolutely, Sean. So let me actually show you that. on one of these listing creations. So one of my favorite things, again, another thing we're doing with Mercari is when you go into the listing creation, you're using a demo. I'm using my demo template here. You have a price page, and let's put in a price here. This price page, I think for whatever reason, we're not pulling the average price from the SKU right now, but in the future, this will show you, just like it does on individual creation, that you are, we know what you've paid for these items. So on Mercari site, they show you a really cool table with the fees that they're really transparent about this. They show you what fees you can expect, the shipping costs you can expect, and what you can expect to get from the listing sale. Since we know what you've paid for these items on average, we can show you an average gross profit margin after those fees and those shipping. So that's going to be super exciting. Right now, you can put the price in and you have the ability to set it, but we'll have that table that we also have on the individual listings page as well. So that's for Sean. Andrew said, very cool. Nice job. Thanks, Andrew. Glad you like it. Daniel said, question for Kyle. Not hello. Can people hear me now? All right, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone. Had to change mic. I can't hear you, Kyle, unfortunately. I'm not sure what kicked the audio of our whole. Sometimes this is the fate of doing things in a browser with audio and video. Yeah, I still don't hear you, Kyle. So maybe we'll skip while you work on that, Kyle. We'll skip over hopefully you can hear me while you work on that. I'll just keep answering other questions. I think, Daniel, for the sake of the Mercari fees, you said the question is Mercari going to match other marketplace fees for other phones? I can't speak to that, but I think this is a great question for you on your and your authorized reseller account manager is the way that I would recommend approaching that. We see different marketplaces doing things to incentivize sellers, and it's all based on the kind of volumes that the sellers are doing. So from my standpoint, I would say, do as much as you can, sell as much volume, be as committed to the program as possible, and then, see what they're willing to do for you there. But it is kind of a chicken and egg game, I know. Andrew said, great experience with Mercari Wholesale so far. This will make a huge difference. Thanks, Andrew. I'm really stoked to see, folks that are using the integration already, that have used it in its current incarnation with its current, capabilities, but also the things we know these things are slow. We're not tone deaf over here. We're trying to make things even faster. So that's great. Kafai said, Kyle, good job. I think you're doing a really smart business dev here. Thank you, Kafai. That kind words that we're doing a good role in this e-commerce game. For anyone on Swappa Enterprise, they can actually do this by copying and pasting what's already on Swappa on this new SKU listing feature. It's basically the same for Swappa Enterprise sellers. And yeah, that's correct, Kafai. So Swappa built out a quantity listing feature that is basically allows you to sell in quantity, but they require a lot for you to become an enterprise seller, and we work with them on that. If you are wanting to become a SWAPA enterprise seller, we can introduce you to their team, just like if you are trying to sell on Mercari, we will introduce you to Kyle and his team. But that's the idea is, we are trying to build things, if that's not already clear, at WholeCell we are trying to set up a suite of tools with all of these channels that are the channels you guys sell on, that you all sell on, to be able to automatically list, or at as little friction as possible, list your inventory and the inventory you want to be listed across all of your channels on the ways that the channels support. And so right now, Mercari is supporting single item listings. We're not sending them the quantity, but we're sending them, we've now come up with this, this way of sending them quantity, even though it's one at a time, which I'm really thrilled about. So Neil said it does make things much faster to list in bulk and not worry about it if it's sold, to relist it again and again. Thanks, Neil. For everyone, we typically will choose a couple customers or a few customers to work with when we are testing out the new features we've launched of an integration. And so Neil is speaking from experience here and having done some testing with us. Thanks, Neil. I really appreciate that vote of confidence. So it's been really, really special to work on this with customers like yourself who are willing to put in the time. I mean, testing is not a fast process, so it takes a ton of energy and a ton of time to do that testing. So thank you so much. It seems like Kyle, we don't have your video if you're still around, but the rest of our Kyle says, I can hear you, but I've lost access to be on stage. Let me see if I can invite you, Kyle, to do that again. Let's see. I'll pull you off, and then let's see if I can invite you back on. Daniel asked a good follow-up question. Does Mercari offer a ShipStation integration, or would labels be made manual? So the answer to this, Daniel, is that WholeCell has a ShipStation integration. So when your orders come through WholeCell, so you've got an order that comes from Mercari, it comes through WholeCell. Heck yeah, we got you back, Kyle. Perfect. I think I have both audio and video. So your Mercari orders will import to WholeCell automatically, and then WholeCell will send those orders over to ShipStation, where you can print a shipping label on ShipStation, and that shipping label, the tracking number for that shipping label, will import back to WholeCell, and WholeCell will send it to Mercari. So that's the same with all of WholeCell's existing e-commerce integrations, but it means that, Mercari doesn't have to have a direct integration. You wouldn't even want to enable that if they did and you were using WholeCell, you would want that order to flow through WholeCell. So specifically, you can commit the IMEI. The whole point of this is, committing the IMEI of the order that gets shipped out to the Mercari customer that has purchased your item, and that tracking number coming back through WholeCell. So anyways, you would use that typical integration flow like we have with Mercari and other channels. And Kyle, we've got you back, so we can kind of jump back into our slide deck. And everyone,
yeah, I think so. Does this work?
It works. We got you loud and clear. So everyone, I just went through that demo. If you have any questions about the demo, we can follow up with those at the end of the presentation. But for now, I wanted to give Kyle an opportunity to talk about the Authorized Reseller program. When we did this back in November, it was like totally new and just starting. Now they've got some sellers, you guys, under their belts that they've been working with, and some experience. So he can go through and talk about those details. So I'm going to leave it to you.
Thank you. I know there was a question for me before this audio stuff happened from Daniel, so I don't want to ignore that question. I think the essence of the question is, phone fees are really high. Will you match other marketplaces? We hear you loud and clear, Daniel. It's been on our radar for quite a bit. At the moment, we will not be, but it's something that we have been actively discussing internally. So, the hope is, as this program grows with WholeCell and we get larger and things go well, I'm sure more of those comments will come up, and then we can hear and take note of that, and maybe make some adjustments that will improve the entire selling experience for everyone. So so thank you, Brennan. They've been giving us high praise for being great partners, but frankly, it's been all of them. We really appreciate their partnership. They have been super astute, very just a good partner, just to work with us and just talk about different things and ping pong ideas off each other. So it's been nothing short of an amazing experience with wholesale team. So on behalf of the Mercari team, we want to thank them as well. So yeah, I want to be brief here with my time. I just want to give you guys a quick overview of what Mercari is. A lot of you guys that are already on Mercari, I'm sure you will know this. So, but please bear with me. But yeah, so I want to give you that and just talk about who Mercari is and what we do. So, Brandon, if you go to the next slide. Yeah, so Mercari, I think we kind of tout ourselves more as like a horizontal marketplace, right? We are a marketplace where anyone can come and buy and sell anything. As we have matured and as we have grown, we have seen some strong signals in different categories like the cell phone space, which is why this integration with the wholesale team exists and why you guys are here on the webinar. So while we are horizontal, we do see pockets and we do see signals where there is some strong demand and there's some strong growth. So we definitely want to double tap into that. And this is our first foray into that with the wholesale team. So again, it's been a really good experience with them. Uh, Next slide, please. Yeah, so if you just know the history of Mercari, we were a Japanese marketplace. We have a strong foothold in the Japanese marketplace, and we continue to do well there. As we grew, we wanted to expand, and we thought, well, what the heck, US is probably the next big bet for Mercari parent company. So that's where like our genesis story. We came from the Japanese marketplace, branched off into the US. So if you go to the next slide, it's just a quick timeline of the history of Mercari and where we've been. We launched Mercari US in 2014. We hired our CEO back in 2017. We opened up our headquarters in 2018. And you can just see there's a constant iteration of trying to make Mercari better, not only for the buyers, but also for the sellers and just the marketplace as a whole. So we launch new things, we iterate, we try, we grow, we expand, and we come back to the drawing board time and time again, no matter how successful we've been. So that's just a few things about us and our growth here in the US. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just another more of a data-centric overview of how Mercari has been growing. You can see our trend just constantly moving towards up and to the right. Today we have about just over 5 million monthly active users. On a daily active user, it eclipses 1 million. So a lot of eyeballs, a lot of people coming to Mercari to buy things, to sell things, and really trying to make some moves there. Next slide, please. Again, some more numbers. We have over 50 million downloads in the US. We have some strong reviews on that marketplace. New items being listed daily. Again, of the buyer side, just constantly people looking to buy from us. We are always improving. So, with this program, with the wholesale team and with you sellers coming on board, it only helps the case with you because we are trying to clean out the inventory and on cell phones, right? As you can imagine, it could be a fairly scammy category. But with your inventory coming in, not only showcase your inventory and show that we have higher quality inventory coming in, but also we provide more buyer confidence, right? With our sellers coming through the wholesale side. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are just some additional benefits of joining Mercari at no added cost to you. We are constantly putting out ads. Ads is always something that's important to be in front of the customer. So whether it's on Google, whether it's on Bing, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, we are constantly showing ads to people that we want to get exposure to the items, right? So again, no cost to the sellers here when we have good inventory in a cell phone space where we know the demand is high, and we know that supply is good. We can definitely show more ads on that category in that space to get in front of the customer. Next slide. And yeah, I think it was Daniel. You mentioned the question about the fees earlier. We are really transparent with our fees. We want to be very simple with it. Our selling fee is 10%, and we take a 2.9% PPF plus 50 cents. So you're just in at just under 13%. We don't charge fees on listing. There is no monthly fee. So this is just your straight fee that we take from the seller side. So we hope that there's clarity here. I know there may not be a lot of comfort in these fees at this number, but we want to provide clarity. We want to make it very simple. We want to make it fast for the seller. So no one is having to guess how much do I have to make, how much do I have to sell to reach certain profitability. And I think if I go to the next slide, that is it. If you have questions for our authorized reseller program, there's a lot there. I'm happy to chat with everyone here individually. My email is kyle.lin@mercari.com. So it's pretty straightforward. So some of the benefits just off the top with Mercari reseller program is we allow you guys to come through integration through wholesale, right? So that we have suppressed certain features on our backend that would apply to normal seller accounts. So you guys will bypass some of those hurdles, the ability to use stock photos, the ability to work within integration and to constantly work and improve between this integration is a benefit to you guys. That's something that may not be done as fast on the regular seller side, but through the wholesale side, we can hear any issues and we can talk about how do we improve that. We have elevated customer service. Typically, a lot of the inquiries come to me first, so I can help there and sit and filter and escalate as needed. And so I'm very involved. I'm constantly looking at this at our program, trying to improve it, trying to expand it. So all feedback, all comments, all complaints, anything is necessary for us to do it. There's a lot of blind spots that I have as not being a seller. So any insights you guys can provide me would be helpful. And for those of you that have not joined but are interested in joining, we have a very straightforward application process. We have a Google form sheet that is the entry point. If it's okay with you, I can list that Google form sheet in the chat, Brennan, and people can click into that.
Yeah, that's great, Kyle. And I'll also take that and make a featured action out of it so folks can see that.
Yeah, so here is an entry point into our application process. It's a really short process. If all things going according to plan, you should be approved within 2 days. Typically, is how fast it works. So it's not too much of a time suck there. Yeah, I think there's a question here from Andrew. Is there any branding or notification that the item is being offered by an authorized seller? At the moment, there is not. Again, this is something that is on our radar. We have talked about badging. We have talked about placing banners to separate or to distinguish sellers that are in the authorized reseller program. So it's something we are discussing. And again, if this is something that comes up repeatedly, then it just gives you more ammo to go back in internally and ask for that change or ask for that improvement. So not at this moment, but it is on our radar.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for that overview. I think on our first conversation or webinar in November, I really, tried to tell sellers just how significant this opportunity was to work with a new marketplace that's allowing authorized resellers and that's got an integration and how exciting that is. Now there's actual activity. We've got sellers that are selling on Mercari that are creating their listings from wholesale. So it's still that's the case that this is still a new program. The authorized reseller program is as far as being available in the ether for all of these sellers of used phones. It's still a new opportunity, guys, and gals that are selling phones. I want to be very clear that we've now made this pipeline for you to get your inventory onto Mercari's site as an authorized reseller. This pipeline just got a lot bigger and a lot faster and smoother for you. So I hope that the sellers that have been using wholesale to track their inventory, you currently have a huge advantage to getting that inventory listed, and I hope that you use it. Folks that are keeping their inventory in spreadsheets that did not take the time to onboard to a platform, did not take the time to figure out how to systemize and organize their business, they don't have this opportunity. It's much, much harder to do that. They still have to go through these manual steps. The 20 of you that are on this webinar today, which great numbers, by the way, have this incredible opportunity because you've already got your inventory in wholesale. You are already using, hopefully some of you are already authorized resellers in their program. You've got this unique spot to move your inventory on a marketplace that is doing all of this new stuff. So I hope that you take it. And to comment very briefly on what Kyle had shared, I think it's pretty special and unique that they're sharing their GMV and traffic numbers. That's a pretty high GMV, everybody. That's opportunity for you. Those are customers that are out there that they're paying for ads to get to buy your listings, they are giving you that traffic, and yes, they're charging a fee for it. But if you created your own e-commerce store and tried to find buyers, you would have to get your own paid ads, and that costs money. So they're simplifying that fee structure for you so you can list on their marketplace and only pay when your listings sell. And if you build your own store, you got to pay whether the listings sell or not. So I just want to kind of clarify what that playing field looks like. And it looks like, Kyle, you got a question from George.
Yeah, George. Happy to look into it. If you want to shoot me an email at kyle.lin@mercari.com, kyle.lin@mercari, I can definitely do some digging and give you some better insights on what happened. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guy. And Hamid had just said, thanks for this collaboration. I mean, absolutely. This is what we're doing, and we're so thankful to have so much activity from all of you. I'm thrilled to see this much interaction. So thanks for being here. I don't think there's anything else on my end. Kyle, is there anything else you want to share with these folks?
Oh, something does come to mind, just to pivot real quick. When you were doing your SKU listing and you're showing the photos and uploading photos, just for everyone here to know, we know by data that the more photos a listing has a greater propensity to sell. Typically, when it's just a photo, buyers may perceive that as scammy or perceive that as to be a little deceptive. So if you want to add more photos, different angles, close-ups, etc., highly recommend. From anecdotally, I've tested this myself and it works. So it's something that I recommend for you. So I don't want you guys to waste time making all these putting all this effort in and for nothing to sell, right? If it's something as simple as I just had to add 2 more photos, just 2 more photos, then that can change or tilt. So I recommend that. So that was something in my mind when you're presenting, Brennan, and I wanted to share that before we all hopped off.
No, that's great. Yeah, everybody, this is you take good photos, get a little photo booth, use our QR code upload system. I've seen it in action, and I've not seen it, in a much smoother process. You can scan that QR code, take a few beautiful pictures in a photo box, put your logo in there so that it's not scammy. Andrew asked if there's a sweet spot of number of photos.
Good question. On the max side, I think we allow 12 photos on Mercari. I think that's a little bit excessive. You don't need to. Personally, I think around 4 photos is a good way to convey the message of clarity and trustworthiness to your buyer, because you can provide different angles, you can provide close-ups, etc. So I do that. I think on average, the higher selling listings typically have like 4 point something. So maybe anywhere between 4 to 6 photos is a good sweet spot for UL.
Great. If anybody's got any other questions, we're here now at your disposal. Hamid, on the wholesale side right now, there are no required dimensions or ratios that I'm aware of. But I think what you will find as you test this out is as wholesale has to convert these photos and then send them to Mercari, the Mercari integration and API in a specific format. They have to be JPEGs, and so that is a requirement. And we're curious for what you find. So this is a specific area that photos are obviously unique to text. Text is easy to send. We are sending all of the text of your listing creations over to Mercari. That's going great. But we want feedback about the photos, and we want to know, what kind of tools are you looking for there, so that we can improve that. But what I would also recommend is, I'm beating this dead horse again. Your phone has great photo editing tools on it, right? When you take a picture, you are able to crop it, to flip it, to rotate it. I would recommend doing those things in the window on your device that comes up after you take a photo before hitting the upload button. So those kinds of things, they're faster on your phone, it's native, they're slower in the browser, and I think that will give you the best experience. So do cropping and editing on your phone, and then upload it. Oops. Sorry, guys. Hopefully you can still hear me. Bummer. Okay, well then that seems like an appropriate time to end things. I got to hold my microphone close to my my face. This is why Kyle got the good mic over there. All right, thank you everyone so much for this. Is one of the longer webinars because there's been so much good interaction. You guys all have Kyle's email if you need it to reach out, and then he also shared the authorized reseller program application. So please, if you're interested at all in selling and using all these new tools, go apply and become an authorized reseller with them. And we can't wait. Oh, Daniel said, wait. What do you got, Daniel? All righty. You caught us just in time. All right, this is a successful question. It's coming in snapshots. So just said, let's say we have more than one quantity of an item. That item sells and it's relisted. So you say you have 10, one sold, and the next one is relisted. And yeah, the answer. I mean, if I can speak on Mercari's behalf, because of what Wholesale is doing is creating a new listing. So yes, Daniel, it does count as a new listing. This is a new listing. It'll have the same values, the same photos, the same title, description, hashtag, price, etc. All the things you set in your template when you create that listing. It's going to be basically a duplicate of the first listing. It will be a new listing, so new listing ID. And that is why I'm not sure if I made this clear enough to everyone. Let me go find the page for this. So when we click on one of these SKU listings in Wholesale, in the Mercari settings page under SKU listings, these are my active SKU listings. If we go click on a test one, these are the listing IDs on this first page. So we have one that's deactivated, one that's active. You can see that these numbers are different, right? These are different unique listings. And that is what Wholesale is doing, is creating a new unique listing. It will count as a new listing. It won't be the same listing, but it will have all the same attributes. So when you go to Mercari, aside from the URL being different because it's a different listing, it would look identical. Yeah, correct me if any of that is incorrect.
Yeah, you got it right.
Cool. Hopefully that answers your question, Daniel. All righty. That was it. Stragglers are in. Thank you everyone so much for your time. Kyle and I got to get back to building more killer features for you all. And so you'll see us back when we have more things to share. But please, the thing that powers these updates are feedback from you all. So start using these features, play with them over this weekend and next week. Send us the feedback. Send it to Kyle, send it to myself, get on the Wholesale live chat and share it with us. We record all that feedback and then figure out how to make the platform better. So we can't do it without you. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Please share us that feedback with us, and we'll see you in the next one of these.
Thank you all.